Hello, everyone, and welcome to Season 11 of Spine Chill. I'm your host, John Wolfe, here with my fellow hosts, the blonde. Actually, not the blonde anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't quite work anymore, but yeah, I'm here. Hi.
For our audio-only listeners, he has purple hair now. Repeat, purple hair.
I think it's bright enough the audio-only listeners might actually be able to hear it.
It looks nice, though. Look how shiny it is.
It looks really good. Yeah, it's not an insult.
And our longest recurring guest, 12 seasons in a row.
My favorite
Doug,
guest.
Running Man. Or Hat Man, as he's more
Hat
common
Man,
now.
yes.
Thanks, guys. I'm happy to be here
name.
yet again. Appreciate the extra invite, and I'm looking forward to discussing all things horror asim for another week. Crossing my fingers.
Yes, we have, well, we don't have like a lot to talk about this week in terms of big things. We have a lot of little things to talk about.
Some of this is kind of big. We'll see. Let's see how much...
I'm being upstage right now.
Well, there's a lot to kind of talk about with Killer Klowns and Texas Chainsaw.
I meant big stuff, Gary. Oh.
We need like buttons to press, like a radio show.
We do need like a soundboard. We need like a guy in the back. You know, like some of those podcasts will have like a producer in the back that'll like laugh in the background.
Yeah.
At all of our jokes. We need some guy
We should
like
just
that.
record ourselves laughing that we can put on the background, so we can force
Like
each other
our
to
own
laugh at each
personal
other's
laugh
jokes.
track. Yeah, I like
Yeah.
We just need somebody like that. And then they do like a little soundboard that does doing or something like that.
Perfect.
These are great ideas. We need to start that Google Doc.
Yeah. Well, I guess we're gonna start off with some DBD though.
Ah,
right?
yeah, sure.
Is
Why
that
not?
what we...
Yeah.
But we have some big news about Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Killer Klowns from Outer Space, and a new horror asim that just popped up a couple days ago.
Oh, it's changing the world.
It's changing, gripping the world, taking it by storm. We'll talk about that after DBD.
And we've also got like some updates to Propnight, and
Yeah, actually.
a incoming update to Ghostbusters: Spirits Unleashed.
Yeah, I'll probably go AFK during that part, but you guys can take the helm.
Oh, no. Not the John Wolfe Dono wall. Gary and I could probably talk about Ghostbusters for like 45 minutes. So.
Yeah. We should probably
Yeah,
that's
wind
fine.
ourselves in.
I could use a nap, so.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Sort of. DBD, right. So, what were we going to talk about first with DBD? It was
So there's been some drama on Twitter about
That's
Dead by
right.
Daylight.
We're
Yeah,
dipping
there's
our toes into drama.
DBD drama on Twitter? I don't believe it.
I know. The hatch has become a hotly debated topic on Twitter recently. Shall I read the tweet and then
Yeah,
we can
go ahead.
discuss?
This tweet took the DBD world by storm this weekend or past week.
Which is surprising because it's not got that many likes or anything. In Dead by Daylight, if there are 2 players left and 1 DCs, the hatch should not spawn. This will disincentivize players from DCing to give their teammates the hatch after a killer has played well enough for a 4K. The last survivor loses out, but their teammate caused that. Thoughts?
Against
presents it for us. So.
against terrible idea is where my thoughts are.
Yeah, I have thoughts too.
Oh,
So
go, Doug.
I mean, no. I want to hear you guys first. I'm the killer man. Let me go last.
Oh, okay. Well, I think this is a terrible idea, first of all. Like, I think of the hatch as like just a 50-50 at the end, just an interesting little thing for the last survivor left versus the killer. You can get the hatch, you can not get the hatch. It's just like a last-ditch little thing to make things interesting in a game that's otherwise become extraordinarily boring. Like, to give the last survivor something to do. I think taking it away is really pointless. It would only serve to give negative experiences, because think of it this way, like if you're killer and there's one survivor that's been really annoying all game, you could just kill the second to last person, right? And then if there's no hatch, like if that person DCs, if there's no hatch, you can just be like, well, we can stay here as long as I want to, or until they DC. The hatch is a way to make sure that the game ends at that point, because what's that last survivor going to do the remaining 3 gens or whatever? They're not going to do that. So it's either they get the hatch or...
Are we talking about the same tweet?
Yeah. I thought so.
The hatch tweet? I thought this was the self-unhook tweet we were talking about.
No, that's next.
No, we're doing that one next.
Okay.
Doug, pay attention.
No, I was. I'm a killer main, bro. I have like 4 brain cells, and 2 of them are.
Here's my thoughts about the tweet. It's basically saying, I want to slug for the 4K, and survivors shouldn't be able to DC out of that horrific situation and give their final teammate a chance at the hatch. Because that's all it's saying. Because, like, why would a survivor ever need to DC? Because you just slugged them. You're bleeding them out so that you can search the map wildly trying to find the 4th and final survivor who's sat in a locker waiting for the hatch game, and you don't want them to get it. Like, it's just lame. It's just a lame thing. Like, the 4K slugging, I can't wait for the base kit unbreakable thing is going to solve that problem if it ever comes out.
I finisher Mori.
Yeah, I always find killers that slug for the 4. Unless survivors have been a dickhead sometimes. Like, you know what? No. I'm punishing you. You've all been dickheads. You don't get to play the fun hatch game. But just as like a generic thing, I despise the idea of taking away hatch, because the hatch bit's like the most fun part of the game most of the time.
Yeah, I tweeted about this, and I have a pretty similar perspective as you guys. I don't understand why killer players care so much if somebody gets the hatch. Like, I say this a lot on stream. People will talk about, DBD and the killer rule as a whole. And I'm like, you don't want to, if you set a 4K as your only win condition, you're going to set yourself up for disaster, because it's an RNG based game. Like, you can't consistently, unless you're the world's best nurse, you can't consistently win with a 4K every time, because you're going to get, and eventually, like, we all know Alf's on like some 600 win streak on nurse, right? Eventually Alf will lose the game to an RNG hatch. It'll happen. He'll have somebody slugged. He'll hook the 4th. Before he gets back to the slug, the hatch will spawn right on him and they'll get out. Yeah. Like, there's this,
we've all had that happen where it's like the hatch just spawns right under you. Like, sweet, bye.
Percentage-wise, it has to happen, right? And which means that no matter how well you play, no matter how broken the things you use are, at some point, the coin flip is going to land against your favor and you're going to lose a game, right? So to me, it's like, I can see people setting a standard saying like, I want to get a 4K every game, but like, you have to be okay with not getting a 4K. If you look at the challenges in the tome, if you look at the OTS challenge out there, which I think the community universally agrees that the OTS challenge is like a very fair way to do like kind of more of a skill-based RNG challenge, right? Nobody ever punishes a killer player for losing number 4 to the hatch, because it's completely strictly RNG. You never know. It's not a hatch escape is not a skill-based win, therefore their MMR doesn't go up. And a hatch escape is not a skill-based loss for the killer, therefore his MMR doesn't go down, or their MMR doesn't go down. Like,
but I will say, in a game where it is kind of portrayed as 4 1v1s, that's what behavior said in the past, right? Any survival is like it feels like a win to the survivor. Maybe that's why some killers are like, oh, it feels like a defeat, because they feel like they've won. Like, it's less about the MMR number, it's more about just how it feels, maybe.
Yeah, and I mean, so the survivor, I know when I get a hatch, I feel like I won. It feels great.
You're like, yeah. It feels better. It feels better than walking out the door most of the time.
Yeah, and I'm a killer player, and when I lose to a hatch, I'm just like, oh, it's the hatch. But I could see somebody being like, grr, they got out. I wanted my 4K, but like, I just feel like it's just such a silly thing to care so much. Like, why you didn't lose, so why do you care? Like, to me, and again, it feels like some sort of like, almost like a petty power control hungry sort of like, I didn't want you to escape. That's not my choice.
I'm the killer. Like, nobody escapes death.
Yeah. So it just seems so silly.
They're high MMR killers. They have to 4K every game.
And like, why, if somebody DCs, even more so, if somebody DCs so the 4th guy can get the hatch, like, that's even less of a loss for a killer. Like, you force somebody to DC to get their last guy out with the most desperate plea, the last chance. Like, I just don't understand why it's so important when there are so many other things that are RNG based that maybe they could look at.
How often does someone DC for the hatch anyway? Unless you're slugging someone every match.
I've had it happen to me like 2 times ever. I've been playing since 2016.
Yeah.
And this hasn't happened to me once since the DC penalty was in, by the way. Most of my DCs happen with 4 or 5 gens up, not when it's down to the last survivor, maybe getting the hatch. So it's just another one of those problems that, like, I think you're just creating an issue that's not really there, because it doesn't happen very often.
True. Yeah, and I think also, like, hasn't the hatch been through enough, man? Like, it got nerfed into the ground with the key nerf. Like, remember when the hatch used to appear based on that weird mathematical formula about like number of survivors left minus how many gens or what +1? They don't have that in the game anymore. The hatch only like happens after there's one person left. It's barely a factor in the game at all anymore, which is fine. It's like where it should be. I don't think we need to do anything more. If you nerf it anymore, it's gonna be like just really useless at that point.
I think the hatch is perfect how it is now. I have no issues with that.
Yeah, agreed. Cool.
Yeah. So I guess our take on that is bad take.
Bad take. Yeah.
Bad take.
It gets the spine chill thumbs down.
Yeah, we need the soundboard for that one. Okay. Well, so that was the first tweet, the first dramatic tweet that we wanted to read out.
Should we move on to the next one?
Sure. I can read this one if you'd like.
Oh, go for it, John. Yeah.
This one is from popular Twitch streamer and very good Legion main, Tataru. Happy birthday, Tataru, by the way.
Happy birthday.
Hey, happy birthday from Spine Chill and Romania, hopefully.
We're going to read your tweet on our podcast. This is actually from last week. I kind of feel like it's time for the self-unhook mechanic to go. You just shouldn't be able to bypass the DC penalty like that. If you don't want to play, DC, or just don't play the game. Obviously, it would still work for things like Deliverance, though. And then they said even further than that. Hang on one sec. They had a follow-up tweet. I'm so conflicted. The survivor side of me is fine with it, mostly because it can lead to some cool plays. But the killer side of me hates it and wants it to be removed. Now, most people's responses to this were like, no. I do understand where they're coming from with this, because as someone who plays a lot, mainly at this point, in the past few months at least, mainly solo survivor, nothing ruins a game faster than someone giving up on hook at 5 gens on the first hook of the game just because they don't like the killer they're playing against.
There is one thing, DCing.
Right. Well, but it's the same thing, basically.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, basically, but you're bypassing the penalty. If you choose to give up in a game like that, I think you should get the DC penalty. However, so like I understand the problem. I agree that that's a shitty thing in the game right now. But this is not a good solution for it. I think it's a good point from Tataru, but bad solution, which, I think we've all had things like that. Where you're frustrated by something in the game, but you don't really know how to fix it. Because obviously, Kobeing is a really dramatic and fun part of the game. Hitting that 4% escape from hook, it can lead to some really fun plays. So, I agree with them that it sucks, but I can't think of a good solution for that either, frankly.
Well, there could be like a time element to it. Maybe for the first 60 seconds of the match, you can't Kobe. Because by then you're not going to have Deliverance anyway. It's unlikely to have got it. Unless you're against a nurse that's hooking like wildfire. And it's just going to prevent... Because like I've had survivors that go down first, they get put on hook and they just give up and it's like, it's a clown. This match isn't over. It's a clown. We're going to be fine. Probably.
Yeah, it's like a clown on Haddonfield or something.
Yeah. Like, we'll unhook you, we'll heal you up and you'll be fine. And you can get a generator or something. But they just give up and it's like, oh, it's GG then. So yeah, I would like it if maybe there's like a time thing to it. I did think about the idea of maybe you can't Kobe until after the first gens popped, but I don't think that would, because then if the killer hasn't, when you had those killer games where you just deny a single hook gen going off, you just kind of trap people a little bit, so that could be a bit evil. But a timer could solve it.
Yeah, it feels like any solution like that is going to be kind of awkward, and like it's like another thing to remember with the game. It's like, oh, for the first minute we can't Kobe. It kind of feels like I wish there was a more elegant solution. And
there's also the argument that if you don't want to play the game, should you have to? Like, I don't blame anyone who tries to give up on hook when it's like a sweaty nurse who's like trying to slug everyone for the 4K sort of thing. It's like, well, like I just had matches like that and I get it. I totally get why survivors are like, nah, I don't want to play against nurse. She's not fun. I get it.
I mean, I don't think you should be forced to play games, but if you did just queue up and you get into a chase immediately and you're the first hook and you give up and make it a 3v1, I also think that that's not okay either. I like you shouldn't be forced to play the match, but why are we being forced to play in a 3v1 when you queued up with the rest of us, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of on both sides of that too. Let me break down from like each step. First of all, the tweet. Yeah, I don't like it. It's basically saying like, no matter how the killer's playing, you shouldn't have any way to like get out faster, and I don't like that at all. Again, I think John, you said it a lot better than I could, but I think the one thing I'll disagree with you on is that you said you don't know how to solve it, and I think my solution is maybe address the things that are in the game that are causing people to want to go next so often.
Like nerfing nurse.
Yeah, maybe like removing the nurse from the game or nerfing the nurse. Maybe
or the incredible slowdown meta, which when you go against a legion and it's like, I just can't be bothered. This is going to be like a 30-minute match.
And it's like frustrating and irritating as a killer main to deal with the whole entitled like go next attitude, and it sucks for everybody but the person that goes next, because like they don't care about their teammates because they're going next. They don't care about the killer because they're going next. They're basically saying like my foon is the most important foon in this trial, which
my foon.
Again, though, that's the thing. Like they're entitled to that, right? They paid for the game. They're investing their time. It sucks for all of us, but then again, there are solutions to that on the Survivor side. And, find people to play Survivor friends with, and find reliable teammates. And for the killer, it's just like it's just weird because there's like this subsect of the killer community that's like all about the people that go next because then they get an easy win and all they care about is getting an easy win. And then there's the guys like me who are more like, well, great, now this match is over. This isn't going to be fun anymore because it's a 3v1. It's an automatic win. So, I just got to go through the motions.
I just had a light bulb. What if you got little titles like below your name or something that you earned like by playing? So like if you give up on first hook,
like a red letter S.
Yeah,
Gary.
like it could just like warn people that you're like
like a quitter title or something like that. Like,
yeah, and maybe the game like prioritizes putting those people together a little bit,
like they do with cheaters.
Yeah, they like just like put those, and just because that you could do some fun things with it as well. Like imagine when you finish playing Killer for the day and you move on to playing Survivor, it could say like a little title like just got a 4K. Little things.
I do wonder if. Sorry, this is a completely different solution, but just on the note of other solutions, what if there was like a catch-up mechanic like they used to have in Propnight, for example, where if somebody gets out of the game really quickly, then suddenly for the 3 remaining players, their gen repair speed increases until they catch up to like, 2 gens left or something like that. I wonder if there could be something like that that's implemented to make up for completely uneven games. And it could be used not just for people who DC at 5 gens, but also people who get tunneled out really early. I don't know.
I mean, that would be a fun solution. I can already hear killer mains screeching in the background.
You want to increase gen repair speeds?
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts?
If it's a 3v1 at 5 gens, yeah. If it's a 3v1 at 5 gens, yeah, that's what I'm saying, though.
Did either of you guys play back when it used to be if somebody DC'd while loading in, the trial still went, but they like removed a gen? So instead of having to do 5 gens, you only had to do 4 gens if you lost a survivor.
It's like when you play customs and you do like if you do a 3v1, there's a gen less, yeah.
Yeah, so it was that way if somebody DC'd before they solved it and made it so that it just restarts the game. It didn't really do much to change anything. I would still always win 3v1s even with 4 gens.
Yeah.
But I guess my thoughts on it are I don't hate it. And I play a lot of Propnight, and Propnight has the same thing. Propnight has it built into the game where as soon as a survivor dies, the gen speeds get faster. Even if nothing weird.
That's still in.
Because I thought they removed that. Okay, so they've got it. Okay.
No. Gen speed is slightly increased, and then for the last, if it's 1v1, last survivor, gens are like ripping.
Oh yeah, when you're the last person, it's so quick. I do love
Soul Survivor or something.
Yeah. I do love the idea because there is like the debate of should the game be like encourage trying to get 12 hooks rather than just like winning from 4 face camps, Maybe that would be a good way of incentivizing it because I love when I have everyone on dead hook. I'm like, they're all alive, they're all dead hook. This is satisfying, and like it's still like a gen or 2 left. It's like this feels great. I've played so well. So maybe that would be good for the game.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't hate the idea. I just don't. Again, I don't see it lining up with behavior's vision, apparently, from how the game is going, because that to me sounds like a survivor buff, and we're not seeing very many of those right now.
The killer been saying that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I have to be honest. Like, I'm fundamentally.
I think Survivor's the power role, Doug.
depending on what killer you're playing, depending on what map you're playing on, depending on what time you're playing, that's true.
What add-ons? Yeah.
I would say that in general, and the escape rates reflect this. In general, killer is the more powerful role overall at this time. Which has not been done any favors by the current Gen Kick meta, which is just insane to play against if you're not a 4-man.
Which actually segues nicely. Finish your point though, Doug.
Well, I was just going to say, referring back to the last time we played on stream with Sinnoh this last week.
Yes.
Remember how hard we had to work on Father's Camel's Chapel to get 2 people out against an Oni?
Yes.
With that Gen
so
Kick
much
build?
work.
So just for context real quick, we played on Thursday and we played really sweaty. We played in a 4-man Swift, very rare for us, okay? And we brought toolboxes. We brought some people brought brand new parts, some people brought like prove thyself, some people brought, other gen perks. And I was amazed. We won most of the time. We got more escapes than kills in most of our matches. But I was amazed at how close it still was. In some cases.
Yeah, like we didn't, admittedly, we didn't get every match being the gen builds. We actually had quite some fun killer builds. Like they weren't super sweaty, and we were way too prepared for those matches because we crushed them.
Yeah,
but as soon as they brought the meta, we would it was so difficult.
Yeah, we lost to 3 gen kick Andes, and then we had, like I said, that the Father Camel's match jumped out at me because from the jump, we were playing that one with call outs and calling out where we were on gens, and we were working really hard. I had hyper focus, stakeout, brand new part, Commodious toolbox, and I was trying to jam out the middle gen so they couldn't 3 gen.
Oh, we worked so hard on that middle gen to get it done,
and only 2 people barely got out. We worked so hard and barely got out on a mid-tier killer. So if you're running that build and you're playing something like a Blight or a Nurse or a Spirit, this is GG's, even against a strong team. So it's just crazy. But yeah, if you want to segue now, because we've already started talking about into the meta, we can do that.
Well, I was going to say, John, you tweeted out about the current meta, didn't you, recently?
I did. I had a little mini viral DBD tweet. Yeah. So I'll go ahead and, because I talked about my thoughts on the current meta, which is kind of repeating a lot of the stuff that I said already on the podcast, but I'll read it out quickly. Just 1 second. Basically, I was talking about how the current meta is really boring, and I'm not about that. So I said, been streaming DBD for almost 3 years. What's so funny?
And I'm not about that.
I'm not about that. Well, I'm not. I said the current meta.
It was just so John.
I'm kind of cutting it down. I won't read the whole thing. The current meta is the most boring it has ever been. I mentioned playing Survivor, killers constantly drop chases to kick gens and get Call of Brine overcharge eruption value. Playing killer, survivors are desperate to blast through gens so they don't get stuck in a never-ending match, as we just demonstrated with our sweaty matches, right? But the game is at its best when it's about chases, and this is something we've talked about in the podcast before. It's DBD's unique selling point for gameplay. Chasing or being chased by iconic horror characters and not clicking on or kicking generators. Public DBD matches feel more like competitive DBD than they ever have been. So basically, I was just talking about this gen kick meta. It's like everything revolves around the 3 gen, whether or not you can break the 3 gen or keep the 3 gen, right? We've talked about this a lot. And I got some interesting comments because it kind of, like I said, it went mini viral on DBD Twitter, and so I got a lot of people that didn't follow me interacting with it, which proved very interesting. Surprisingly, most people were in agreement. Most content creators that interacted with it were in agreement, I noticed. I did get some funny comments though, so I'd like to share one with you right now. And this took it in a completely different direction. than what I was thinking. So this was their response. That has so much more to do with Swift, the Swift mindset, and the current direction of killer designs to compete with Swifts. Literally, your problem can be boiled down into, quote, Swift is ruining the game, unquote. This is because the game is a free-for-all. Swift changes the way survivors play, shifting the game into a 4v1, which the game was never balanced for. Survivors are not supposed to see the others as an absolute teammate, but a tool for their own survival. And then they linked like a 12-minute rant video that they made called how Swift is ruining Dead by Daylight.
It's never been balanced around a 4v1?
I think they mean, like you said earlier, like instead of 4
it's 4
1v1s,
1v1s.
4v1s.
So I've been in this community since 2016, and this has come up since they implemented Swift, because they did not originally launch Dead by Daylight with like a Swift option. Like Swift was not an intended way for people to play. It was supposed to be 4 solo survivors having to work together to escape the scary killer. And they even went so far as to publicly state, I don't remember which member of the dev team, but somebody publicly stated like the game was never designed around survivor friends. And the killers that hate Swift have held on to that quote from 2016, maybe 2017, and they've just gripped it like a goddamn teddy bear. Like, oh, see, the devs hate Swift too. And like, that's not the reality. The reality is that the game that launched and the game that is now are completely different games.
Yeah, because
Like,
you could say the game was not originally designed around looping.
Never. Looping
No,
was,
no.
at one point, killers would call looping an exploit because that wasn't the way the game was designed. The game, you're supposed to hide from the killer and basically have nothing but pallets to save you if you got caught. And then when looping was like a tech that they uncovered. And then when people were like, okay. And then through the evolution of the game, looping has become a core mechanic. But that's the thing. Look at the way that they've developed perks over the last few years. Like the game has changed, killers. Like that's never, ever going to be DBD again. It's never going to be a hide and seek, solo queue survivor only, heavily competitive game. Like it's not the reality. They caught fire. The game was an indie nobody game that blew up and is now the #1 game in the genre, top 20 on Twitch. Like it's a huge game now, right? And the game that we're playing now would not be top 20 on Twitch. It would not be a popular game with 70,000 concurrent players during, chapter releases because people don't like to play alone. Like a lot of people like playing with their friends. Gaming for a lot of people is a social game, is a social thing. And it doesn't surprise me that the average killer main mentality is that, it's Swifts are the problem, get rid of Swifts, because a person that tends to gravitate towards killer tends to be more of a solo gamer, a person that doesn't really play games with friends. Literally why I became a killer main, because I enjoyed playing on my own more than playing with a group. It's just, and again, I've loosened up. I play with people all the time now, but when I started playing the game, I didn't know anybody who played DBD. I didn't have a strong social network that played DBD. So I was like, well, killer makes sense. Because if I play a survivor, I'm playing with random people. But if I play killer, it's all me. So I don't know. It's just, I just can't listen to another person say remove Swift because it's like, it's never going to happen. And if it did, it would kill the game. Like the game would die if they removed survivor friends. If people couldn't play with their friends, they would stop playing.
Right. My thing with this, and they doubled down in a couple replies about, I'm at high MMR and the majority of our games are Swift, right? Because some people brought up solo queue. This whole thing about like Swift being the enemy, it's like the typical like Reddit killer main post where it's like, I go up against Swift every single game. They're always bringing brand new part. They're always bringing prove thyself. They're always flashlight clicking, teabagging, and it's like there are so many solo queue games that you're just skipping over.
Yeah,
there's so many busted games. I know because I play in them as solo survivor constantly. I will have a game that's just busted open from the beginning. Sorry, go ahead.
Just to add to that is like Swifts aren't always the sweaty god squads. People playing with their friends are sometimes like we were playing sweaty on Thursday.
We were,
but usually when we Swift, we are just fucking around talking about something else whilst we play.
And usually we all die.
And like, but I go against teams where I can tell they're Swifts because they're playing too altruistically. They're trying to help each other. They're trying to get weird. They're trying to do little clever flashlight saves rather than just doing gens. I find increasingly like solo queues more where they're just people just individual just going off and doing gens. Like the problem's spread out. I don't know. I think people are just a bit. Not every team is a Swift.
No, I would say not even somebody responded to them saying 75% of people are solo queue is apparently some statistic from behavior.
Well, I'd like to.
I don't know
Where that's from.
They didn't credit it. They just said that was a stat that came
I'll research
out.
that for next week and let us know if that's
they've definitely put out player-based numbers where they talk about the average trial having like, I think duos are actually the most common. And then solo, it's like duos, solo, and then 3 and 4.
I'll find references.
It's like the breakdown.
My thing though is just I get equally tired of this, like it's all about the Swifts thing, because like I said, there's so many games that I play in where the game's just busted from the get-go. Somebody DCs at 5 gens and then we just get tunneled out and the killer's like, okay, GG, go next, in a game that lasts about 5 minutes total, right? And it's like, well, that game's not going to get posted about on Reddit. Well, they probably are going to forget about it. And like
this is the thing. Do you think like the wins like that, they don't hold on to that information? That doesn't like affect them. They're just like, oh, cool, win.
I won like I was supposed to.
The win means nothing to them, but the defeats piss them off. So it's like that's a cycle for an aggressive, emotional state about the game, isn't it? If you only ever focus on the defeats.
Well, I've talked about this a lot with the RNG conversation too. Is like killer mains will complain about RNG costing them games constantly, right? But where is the killer mains who are like, oh man, I only won this one because like this half of the map spawned completely dead and they had nowhere to go. Like they completely discount RNG's role in a lot of their wins. It's like when they win, pure skill, insane killer player. When I lose, RNG fucked me. Like that's
kind of what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same concept with the Swift thing, right?
Yeah, like I mean, I played Pig and Nemesis. Pretty much all of my games are RNG based. If I win, it's usually because my zombies or my traps have been good that match.
Yeah,
it's like. It's like what I've always said about like negative comments on YouTube and stuff, because I've been doing YouTube for over 10 years now, and sometimes a negative comment will get you right, but it's like people say all the time like, but 99% of the comments are positive, and it's like, well, yeah, but like, you know, if you shake hands with like 100 people and 99 of them shake your hand and smile at you, you know, but one person spits in your face, which one are you going to remember out of those 100 people? You're going to remember the one that spit in your face. You're not going to remember guy number 37 who shook your hand and smiled at you, right?
True.
So on one hand, I get it, but on the other hand, it's like if you're being objective with talking about like the meta for stuff, you need to take into account that Swift isn't all that there is.
Yeah, maybe DB's got quite a negative aura around it for a lot of players these days. I don't know.
I like complaining about this game.
I don't know why.
Yeah, we know you do.
but we derive joy out of it. I think some people just like get grumpier.
Yeah.
Just like a little cycle of just like, this game sucks, this game sucks, this game sucks. And it's like, you've got to laugh at it occasionally. Sometimes the bad thing's funny.
Yeah. I mean, if the game sucks so bad, then stop playing it. Like, I mean, that's why I'm cutting down on my DBD time.
Me too.
I normally would play this game. I would stream it like 4 to 5 times a week, but the current meta is so stale to me that I'm reducing it to like twice a week now.
Me too. I'm cutting it down
as a
to
direct
just 2 days a
result
week
from this stuff, because I have found it less.
Because I did a little YouTube video on this topic. If like we're asking people, is Dead by Daylight becoming boring? And like general comments that I got are people kind of in agreement that it just feels really stale. Like most people are saying they've cut down how much they play in the last like 6 months or so. Like be on Twitch chat or like in my YouTube comments, people resoundingly are saying they're playing it less or not at all. They've just stopped playing it because it's not enjoyable for them anymore. And like my video kind of theorizes that the game it feels more competitive, and I think casual players are just getting a little. I think Doug, you actually used the phrase "burnt out." You've not seen the burnout quite like this, and I think that's the best way of describing it. Like I think people are just burnt out on this sweaty. I have to win. If I lose it, for some reason, it destroys my ego. So I have to try harder the next one. So I have to bring the meta and just make. I will sit in a half an hour match if it means winning.
Yeah, I have a tinfoil hat theory that's going on right now with me too, because lately the killer queues have gotten a lot better. And back
I've noticed that.
And back when the killer queues were really long and survivor queues were really short, people were positing that a bunch of survivor mains switched to killer main, and I'm like, no, I don't think that's the case. I think a lot of survivors just left the game, full stop.
Oh, the dead hard thing really annoyed a lot of people to just leave, I think.
Yeah, and so I think that was why we had the imbalance. Now I think what's going on is the sweatier the game has gotten, the more chill and casual and friendly people are going off and doing other things. And so my tinfoil hat theory on why killer queues are better is because the average survivor that's playing now is better than the average survivor that was playing a few months ago, because like more of the people that are playing in Swifts and playing really optimally are sticking around. And so then these spoon-fed killer mains who are playing killer and getting free wins all the time are now starting to lose more games, and then they're quitting. I think a lot of the killer mains are leaving, and they're blaming game balance. They're saying, oh, the game's broken. It's survivor side of game. I'm leaving. I hear it all the time in my chat. Oh, the game, the game, everybody says it's killer side. It's never been more survivor sided. And I have seen, in my personal experience, the extra 10 seconds added per gen doesn't feel like it's there anymore. My gens are now back to.
I'd agree to you there.
Chase, yeah.
Gens fly. I will say, like, on Steam stats though, the numbers look fine for the player base. Like, it hasn't dipped a little bit, but not like dramatically enough to say there's an issue.
So you don't think there's a decline in killer players?
But it could be consoles, because like I have a feeling the most casual players probably play on console.
Oh, for sure, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah,
so, I don't know.
It's
just a tinfoil hat theory that like maybe there's a lot of, because again, like this is what a lot of these guys who want survivor nerfs and they want the game to be killer sided don't understand, is that it's going to make the game worse. Because the survivors that stay are going to be good at the game. They're going to be playing in formats. They're going to be playing perfectly optimally. Because if they're not, they're just getting dunked on and they're not having fun and they're leaving. So the more the tools that the devs take away from survivors, the harder the killer matches are going to get, the less fun they're going to be. And the more killers are going to be asking for more nerfs and more changes. It's just, I feel like this cycle almost always happens in every ASIM.
Yeah.
It's becoming VHS.
No. There's like 100 people.
Well, no, because this is the goal. Like, because people when they blame balance and Dead by Daylight starts to address the balance, they don't actually want balance. They just want the ability to win. They don't want the game balanced. They want to be able to just chill out and win the video game occasionally. When they demand balance, what they're asking for is sweaty competitive gameplay. And that's what's happening. And I think a lot of people are realizing that that's not what they wanted actually, and that's why the casual players are leaving.
But Gary, the game is balanced when I can win every game I play. Yeah, that's when the game is balanced. If I can
go on a 500 streak, 500 4K streak, then the game's balanced.
Yeah,
finally a balanced game.
People, but that's what I'm saying. People don't want to win. People don't want balance. They just want to win, and it's like that's not a healthy mindset.
Yeah.
Do survivors? Is there anybody on like a cracked solo escape streak right now?
Impossible.
No,
I don't think they can.
Imagine. I'm gonna start one.
the stuff that like Noob 3 was doing back in the day, where he was on he did like 100 in a row or something like that. I think
right.
I had a friend of mine, and I don't want to quote the number, but I think he was up to like 18 at one point solo escapes, and I was like, that's insane.
I got to 7.
18 in a row. Yeah, it's just,
I got to 7 a couple of weeks ago.
You're battling the killer, you're battling 3 teammates, you're battling RNG. There's so many things you're battling there that like,
right.
It's so precarious. You get hooked once, you could be gone forever, and you can't guarantee not getting hooked. It's just
you can't guarantee your solo queue teammates even unhooking you or not letting you go to second stage and getting tunneled immediately afterwards.
Yeah, the guy that was doing it had a solo escape streak, no left behind was his title. So he wasn't running left behind for the hatch either. He was like genuinely approaching it, like trying to get
getting exit gate escapes and stuff.
Well, I mean, he could take the hatch, but he's not going to have a perk that shows him where the hatch is. So
yeah, but he's going for exit gates, right?
I imagine if you're trying to get it, you probably just take Soul Survivor, Wake Up, a purple key.
Yeah.
Urban
Evasion.
How
do you survive the rest of the match?
Urban Evasion, and you just kind of wait till everyone else is dead. That's how you would your best chance of getting like a good consistent survival rate, I guess.
Yeah, Solo Survivor is absolutely the Dark Souls.
And hope for good door RNG or something.
Yeah, I was about to say you'd be fucked as soon as doors were on the same wall, or no way out, or
as soon as you start saying this, you realize, why does anyone take this game super seriously? Why does everyone think winning's like a skill thing?
I mean, there's a reason why tournaments have to ban like 60 perks and limit so much of the stuff that happens. Like, just when are people going to wake up to the fact that it's an RNG based game?
That tournament we did, I was
cackling
through the rule set because it was like, you can't use these perks, you can't use these perk combinations. On this map, you'll be facing this particular killer. It's like,
right,
yeah,
it's stupid.
It's
This
RNG,
game is
man.
counter to comp.
Just have some fun, man. Because you're going to lose a lot of games you shouldn't, and you're going to win. And this is the part that just grinds my gears. You're going to win so many games you shouldn't.
Right.
Like, how
That's
is
the
that
thing.
so hard for people to grasp when they win that you shouldn't have won? Like, if you really cared about balance, you'd realize how lucky you were. Like, people, oh my goodness, they have such a hard time.
I didn't do a great job of explaining it, but that's what I was trying to say earlier with, like, killers will complain about the Swifts that destroy them on, you know, with brand new part and stuff, but they won't talk about the games that they just completely steamroll everybody because someone gave up on first hook, or, you know, they had, like, the world's best 3-gen, you know, or they got Shelter Woods or something. It's important to acknowledge on both ends. When you get lucky, when you win, and when you lose due to bad luck or to your own skill, either way.
I will say though, as a positive, because I always hate talking about DBD in just a negative kind of light, but I really enjoyed our Swift the other night. That was like the most fun I've had in DBD in about a month.
Yeah,
easy. It was just.
Yeah, I did too, and I was afraid because I was just like, oh man, I don't want to just play this game in Swift, but it is more fun on the Survivor side. Like, I'm gonna stream the game again on Tuesday, and I'm planning on playing it solo, but I'm like, man, what if it just really sucks? And then I'm like, I need to just play with friends from now on.
That's why you just change game. He's like, you know what, this sucks. That's what I'm gonna do.
Or, I mean,
better allowing myself to do from now on.
I mean, you got some podcast hosts that might be available on speed dial too if you need some assistance, buddy.
So I'll be there, John.
Emergency assistance.
Yeah, spray glass. I'll be there with my brand new parts and hyper focus stake out.
We don't even need the brand new parts or anything. I just need people that will do gens while a chase is going on. Just basic shit.
Or people that won't give up on first hook when they go down, or DC.
Yeah, if we could have a game without a DC, that'd be great. It's like when we Swift like a couple weeks ago, Gary, with Sinnoh, and we had a random. How many times did the random DC and ruin the game?
It was about, I would say, like 1 in 4 matches if I was being generous. Like
yeah.
That's crazy.
And it was like, what are the odds that
and sometimes like the match would be going fine and they would just DC, and it's like, oh, now it's a problem. Now this match isn't going so well.
DC with no hooks.
Yeah. They went down though, so moving on to the next one, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that's our weekly complain about DBD segment.
I was trying to end it on a positive note. We went back to people DCing.
The DBD meta wrap up is going to be complete, right?
Yeah, we give it a thumbs down.
Thumbs down. Hoping for some good changes.
On a positive note, Propnight has a new killer.
It does.
The clown.
You take it away, John.
No, you go ahead. I was just gonna.
That's all about it, John.
The clown, and then
point at me. Okay, that was my. It's like I get it. It's like a meta joke. No. I was on YouTube this morning, researching some other stuff, and in my recommended,
you made that sound so weird.
I was researching Choo Choo Charles, bro. It wasn't anything gross. Okay.
I was researching some other stuff.
Some stuff. Yeah. Okay. Getting called out.
Watching some K-pop fan cams or something.
Would that be a bad thing? Wow. Okay. We can talk about this. No. We can talk about this after the podcast. Anyways, so I was checking out some Choo Choo Charles videos, and then I saw in my recommended new Propnight killer, and then it was this image I hadn't seen before. I'm like, oh, there's a new killer in Propnight. So I loaded up Propnight, and indeed there was a new killer released. It's the clown. And it's not like the clown in DBD. Nothing like the clown in DBD. It's a completely different kind of character model. He's like kind of tall and lanky.
Imagine it was just the same character model. They just ripped it from somewhere. Just put the clown in.
Huh? No, it's a completely original concept. And I think you guys would agree. It looks really cool, right?
Oh, it looks amazing. Yeah. What a cool...
The model's very good.
I think it's the coolest looking killer in Propnight.
I could agree. He's definitely got the coolest vibe. And so he's got this big mallet, and he's got the whole, the clown jumpsuit. He's got a nasty face with a crooked grin, the big fingernails. He's just awesome. And so, of course, I got excited and decided I wanted to take him for a spin. So before we started the podcast, I went and played a couple games with him.
I like the pun. Because he literally spins.
You ruined my big reveal. No, I'm Kappa. So his
I know you didn't mean to do that.
I know. And then you can't even let me pretend like I did. This man is a bully. The blonde is now the purple, and he's still just as mean.
Meaner than ever.
Meaner than ever. So I tried him out. So his main power is on M2, and it's a projectile, which is like a burst. What do you think it looks like? It's like kind of like almost like an electric ball or something.
Yeah, it's like a light blue blast. It's like a Dragon Ball Z Kai ball.
Yeah, or like maybe like a fireball, like a Ryu fireball from Street Fighter.
Like a Hadouken.
And so you fire out a Hadouken, which does big damage if you hit him directly, but it also has splash damage on the outskirts of it. So you can actually hit everybody. If you hit a group of survivors, it'll hit them all for like 10, 15 damage. I think I've only managed to hit one direct shot. And it was like 35 damage, which is the same as an M1. So it's pretty strong if you can hit it. But it's another one of those of you guys who play Propnight will relate, but there's a lot of maybe questionable hitboxes in the game. Can be kind of difficult to really tie down where it hits at. But overall, really cool ability. It's on a very short cooldown, so you can continue to spam it through chases. Hard to hit on a small prop. Very easy to hit on a big prop. Pretty easy to hit on a survivor. His other power is on a long cooldown. It's the E button, and you basically take your mallet and you just spin in like a hurricane, cyclone sort of way. Very difficult for me to tie down at what point it connects with the survivor.
It feels like
it's on the mallet.
It feels like sometimes it seems to be on the mallet. Other times it seems to be when you're just really close to them. Like it's like the clown's body doing it.
Yeah,
very difficult to gauge.
Yeah, I'll be playing it more to try and gauge it better. But what it doesn't do is like a huge AoE. Like it doesn't do damage to everybody in a raid. You have to be very close to do the damage. So, but what it does do is give you basically unstoppable. You can't be stunned. They can't use any ability. They can't flashlight you or do anything. So if you think somebody's going to set up a flashlight, or if you think if you've been playing against somebody who's like a stun master, you can pop that and keep yourself protected. So overall, really cool design. I won both of the games that I played with him. I got 4Ks in both games. He seems to me like I think what Propnight does better than most other ASIMs is they don't try to do too much. Like the killer only has like 2 powers, and they're pretty basic powers.
Yeah.
There are perk slots, but the perks aren't super impactful. Kind of reminds me of VHS perks where they're like impactful, but not like game changing, impact. So, and what that gives me is like a real fun experience and really good time. And I think it's 2 thumbs up on the clown DLC. I want to play more, but
from what I've seen of the clown, he gets thumbs up from me too. Because I like the little tune. He like there's a little tune when he's walking around.
He sings to himself and stuff. Yeah, there's like vocal lines and stuff, which is interesting. I like that.
I think Propnight doing a really good job.
Yeah, Propnight actually been impressive. I want to play that more actually coming up. I want to play some Propnight because it's been impressive.
Tuesday
lately.
DBD, but then if you hate it, Propnight.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Tuesday might be killer. Yeah, he's not killer only DBD.
He's not going to commit to anything on podcast, man.
Yeah, no.
That's forever.
No, because Propnight had that big update that went through that actually brought a lot of people back to the game. When they revamped everything, because they revamped everything twice, and the first revamp, everybody was really
a disaster.
It was a disaster. And then the second revamp that came through, it was like a month ago by now, I guess. Seems to really be like well received from what I've seen so far, and because they've finally got player progression in, and they've got ranks now, right?
Yeah,
so
it's kind of busted though. Like it's not really working the way it's intended yet.
But it's something, right? It's
something. They're
like the
trying
idea
a step in the right direction. Like it looks like it's going to get better and better now.
I don't know if you guys noticed this, but something they just did with the clown patch is they increased the speed of everything. Killers, survivors, and props all move faster. And now that I think of it, I do realize it did feel good. It felt better. It was everything was moving faster.
I noticed when I was watching you that I was like, wow, Doug's like zooming around the map.
Which is important, because one of the things that I think, to go back to DVD's meta problem right now a little bit, the slowdown of the game I think was a bad idea, because you want games to be quite, there's party elements to it where you want it to be quick and sharp and enjoyable. If the game takes too long, you get fatigued and fed up. And I think Propnight's maybe stepping in the right direction to go, what if we just ramp it up even more so you can get more games in during your session?
Yeah, another thing that I didn't notice that happened on the patch that happened on the 6th is that they did fix the experience points and MMR points. So apparently that bug that was in before is fixed and the rank should be working as intended. So,
Oh, that's good then.
yeah. And I don't know, I mentioned it to you guys and it wasn't in the patch notes, but they've definitely made some changes to the maps because there was a previous infinite area that they've patched now and it's not an infinite anymore. And I don't know how long ago that patch happened. I could go through the notes and check. I'm not like Gary. I don't prepare ahead of time. I just shoot from the hip. But I definitely was looped on that infinite a couple weeks ago. And today I was just showing you guys that it's now not in the game anymore. So they might just be doing that whole, if we don't talk about these kind of things, maybe they'll get like less attention. But they're doing little quality of life changes in the maps as well. So,
which is really healthy and good to hear about as well.
Yeah.
Notice.
Agreed completely. So it's awesome, man. Because like I remember people telling me in the early stages of Propnight that they were worried that the devs would give up on the game and they would stop putting the effort in the game. And
I mean, I kind of thought they would. So
I thought they would too. We're a year out now, and they're still putting out some of the best updates.
Sleeves are up, and they're really improving the game a lot. So we'll keep our eyes on that one.
Yeah, definitely.
Speaking of updates, though, there is another update on the horizon for John. You can have a little nap now. Ghostbusters: Spirits Unleashed. It's kind of, again, like the team behind that don't do a great job of, I don't like telling people about this stuff. Like I feel like it went a bit unnoticed because Doug, you haven't heard about this at all, have you?
Not even a little. And
you're a big Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed fan as I am. But it's going to be the first DLC. It will be free, and it's going to come with a new ghost and a new map. So the new map is going to be called The Facility, and I've written down the description of how they've described it. The facility closed for good in the late 1980s and has been recently purchased by a private investor group who has plans to renovate and reopen the facility. Unfortunately for them, it's been being plagued by ghostly activity, and construction crews refuse to enter this haunted health centre. So it looks kind of cool. There's some screenshots online. Looks kind of interesting. Lots of scaffolding and stuff around. So I think it would just be like a nice new environment to explore. And then the new ghost is called the Muncher, which, if anyone has seen Ghostbusters Afterlife, the latest installment, there was a ghost in that film which ate metal, and they have to go hunt it down. It's like one of the main ghosts in the film, and that's going to be in the game now. That's the one they're bringing in, which I think is really exciting as well, and just like a really healthy new ghost, and it's recognizable from the films. It's going to be a character, so I think that might bring in more players as well, because it's a Afterlife was a great film, so
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I never saw the film, so I'm not really excited initially because of the film's ghost. But then you showed me screenshots of him, and he looks awesome. Like I love him.
Yeah, very cool looking.
Seems like the kind of ghost that I'd want to play. Like so I'm pretty excited to try it out.
I'll be excited to see what its power is going to be.
Yeah, Gary will be really concerned about that. You're going to crunch the numbers and let me know if he's good or bad. I appreciate that. He's
not meta. He's not going to be in the meta.
No, you can't play that one. Yeah, so
he's not fun.
He's no fun.
I'm hoping that. Well, do you know when the DLC drops? Have they announced?
I don't think they've set the date yet. I just know it's coming.
Okay.
Unless I've missed it completely.
Well, we might want to maybe this week, Gary, you and I, some of our first thing in the morning, end of the stream sessions, we could jump in and play some Ghostbusters.
I'm down to play some Ghostbusters. I love that game.
Same. I'm really kind of missing it a little bit, so it'd be really fun. And then John, we'll tell you all about it.
Yeah,
I know you will.
Yeah, that's it for Ghostbusters.
Oh, okay. You don't have to rush through it on my account.
Oh no, it's just short and snappy. It's just
okay.
there's an update coming, which is exciting. The
Trust
game's not dead.
Trust us, we didn't rush on your account.
No, I joke, but I do want to see Ghostbusters continue to get updates and to thrive. I want all these games to do well. So yeah, it's exciting.
Well, we have 2 upcoming games which I think we all agree we want to thrive.
Before we do that, do we want to do a little bit on the new horror ASIM that just dropped?
Oh.
Okay, yeah.
We do want to.
This one dropped in a big way, right? This one got a
way.
whole lot of attention, right?
Yeah.
From what I've heard, the servers have been struggling.
They're done.
The survivors.
Yeah.
The survivors. The servers have been getting pelted. It got announced during the Game Awards. It's the new Among Us hide and seek mode, y'all. The new horror ASIM, where one person plays the imposter.
Dead by Daylight's in trouble. This is the one that's going to kill it.
This is the Dead by Daylight killer.
Yeah.
One person plays as the imposter, who's actually a monster with fangs and a long tongue to boot. And they have to go around the map killing the crewmates, of which there can be up to 14, which is a lot. So we actually did play this the other day for a bit. I'm mostly joking, introducing this as like a new horror ASIM, but I mean it is an
asymmetrical horror
game, and it is horror, so it counts. Yeah, we got to play. I think we all got to play the imposter when we played together. And then Doug's also played solo queue, which Gary and I haven't. So, yeah, what are your thoughts from our experiences?
Gary, please.
As the one who was like, I think I was the most silent whilst we were playing it because I just really didn't like it and didn't want to spoil anyone's enjoyment of it by being grumpy. But like, I didn't like it. I found it really monotonous and just because what happens is you can spawn in at the exact same place as the imposter, and then you can die immediately. And in a game when you're like playing with your friends and trying to joke around and stuff, like, and you're instantly dead and you just kind of have to let everyone else just carry on playing, it's like, it's a bit deflating. And even then when you're playing the game and you're still alive, I feel like most of the time I'm like, well, should I just hide or do I have to go do tasks? Like it just every time you die in that game mode, it felt kind of deflating. And I just really wasn't, because we were playing the original mode beforehand and that was a lot of fun. And then I just found this mode to be the exact opposite. I was like, it's kind of boring for me. Like I wanted to be excited by it, but I just found it really not that interesting for me. But yeah. So I didn't love it. And I found playing as the imposter as well just as equally like uninteresting. Because I just like, I'd see someone, I'd instantly kill them. There's no interaction.
Yeah, I think that's my biggest issue with it is that the main gameplay, and there's a reason that the monster's called the Seeker, I believe, actually, is what the monster's called. The Seeker, and then the Hiders are the crewmates. The reason that I find it kind of fun, but ultimately not something I'm going to spend too much time on, is because most of the gameplay is centered around seeking. When you're the Seeker, you seek the survivors or the Hiders, and then once you find them, they're dead most of the time. If they're not, then you made a mistake. Or they crawled into a vent. Sometimes they can use the vent to juke you, and there's nothing that you can do about that, really. But I would have liked to have seen more of what they kind of teased in the trailer. There was a moment where like a Hider was looping the Seeker on like a table. And so I was like, oh, there's looping like in DBD. But all the maps are exactly the same as they are when you play the conventional mode. So there's not really a whole lot of looping areas. And it's mostly just a hiding game, actually. And you can do this annoying thing as Hider, too, where you can just camp a vent. And then as soon as the Seeker comes in range, you just duck straight into the vent and move to another area of the map, which is not a great gameplay loop, in my opinion. But those are my thoughts.
So I did not have a lot of fun when we played as a group. And I think a lot of that had to do with trying to figure out the game. And then again, what Gary said, like, it just sucks when you die first and you're literally with a group of like 10 or 12 of your friends. And like, now you're not getting to play. There's nothing for you to do. It's not like standard Among Us where you can go work on tasks as a ghost. And then you can like, in between rounds, you can talk to the other dead people and be like, oh, can you believe it was John the whole time? Like, you played that so well, right? Like that element's completely gone. But the game is also like really fast. It's like 5 minutes is the initial timer, I think, total. And then you can take that timer down with doing tasks. So in the hide and seek mode, it does move quicker, but it still sucks if you're like the first or second person kill because you have nothing to do. What I will say also is we were having to play on we're on the Asian servers, the EU servers or something like that, because the NA servers are like completely...
Ping was awful. Like mine was at like 5,000 at one point. I was like, I've never seen ping that high before.
Yeah, so NA servers, as of this morning, I tested it out. I woke up at 7 a.m. and started playing Among Us right away. That's my life now. So I was up playing Among Us this morning, and the NA servers were just still borked. They would get up to like 3,000 ping mid-match, and I'd be like running, and all of a sudden I'm dead, and I died in a room I wasn't even in. So ping was a major issue. So I went to Asian servers, which got the best ping for me, which is about 160, 170. I played for a few hours. I had a lot of fun once I kind of got the swing of things. Some things to note: how the lobby is set up makes a huge difference in how the gameplay goes, because you have all the different options to change the hider's movement speed, the seeker's movement speed, how many events are available. One thing I'll say as well, I've had way more fun playing on Skeld than it was like the base map than I ever did playing those, because we were playing on the biggest map in the game,
the airship,
the airship. Not a fun experience, but the smaller map with settings set up the way that, like, for instance,
like
most
low
of the games I
vision
played,
sort of thing.
low vision, and then like 3 to 5 vents available was the
cool.
The most fun I had playing the game was on Skeld with a reasonable movement speed on both, because you didn't just die as soon as you saw the seeker. You actually could have ran and looped long enough to get to a vent. It really removed that problem you were talking about, John. People were feeling bold, so they didn't have to just stand on the vent and wait.
Maybe it's the settings. If we can
maybe
find
it's the settings then, yeah. Because
I'd be willing to give it another go if there's like settings out there that are enjoyable.
Yeah, if you could, next time we play, Doug, if you could suggest some for us, that would be great.
Yeah.
And we'll play on the Skeld and we'll try to recreate that experience. Because I was feeling when we were playing, like, maybe it was our fault that it wasn't feeling great.
I do hate that newest map. That map's
the airship. I think the idea there was that if we picked a smaller map, then the monster would just kill anyone. But we didn't really think about increasing vent uses or adjusting low vision and things like that.
Yeah.
So.
And then the other thing to factor in is that with the ping being so bad, there were like infinite times where I would like vent and then I would die after I vented. So it's like, and then similarly, like when I was playing as the seeker, I would get to a guy and I would press Q and then he would like just jump into the vent because ping was denying. So I'd love to. I was planning on making a video, and I'm probably gonna wait a week or two until the servers chill out so I can actually play on NA servers and get decent ping, because I really think it's hard to make huge judgments based on a game where the ping is just a huge factor. So, but I'm feeling positive about it. I'm excited about playing it more. So I think it might actually be that rare ASIM experience that's more fun solo than with a group too.
Yeah,
I wonder, because what we were saying about like how when you're with your friends and you die first, now you suddenly can't do anything. If you're with randoms anyway, you don't have that issue of, is it FOMO, feeling of missing out? Like you don't have that if you're just with randoms, because it's you weren't talking to your friends anyway. You weren't interacting with anyone.
And vice versa, if we play 2 or 3 rounds where Gary dies first, and then I'm the seeker, I'm not going to want to kill Gary right away. I'll be like, oh, he won't, But like, if I'm playing with randoms, I don't care. I'm just going to kill this blue guy. Like, you just don't have to think as much. It's
like you wouldn't just kill me anyway.
Suspension of disbelief, Gary. Come on.
I also think that adjusting the settings will make it more interesting if we died to observe the gameplay. Because how we were playing before is when we died, we would just follow the seeker around. And if the seeker found you, they just killed you. So it wasn't really that fun to watch the seeker gameplay, but if we adjust the settings with vision and vents, then it might be more interesting.
I'll start taking notes on like what speeds I like and what, because flashlight mode is actually kind of cool. I don't know, we can explain that, but to the people that are haven't tried it before, so basically flashlight mode makes it so everything around on the map is like darkened as if it's like the lights are out, and you have a cone that's just your flashlight. And you use your mouse to direct it. And they, the flashlight, you can set it at any amount you want. So the flashlight can be really bright or really narrow. I had one game where I was playing a seeker and the flashlight was like super long, but super narrow. So you could just catch people, just their tail, right? And you'd be like, oh, he went in that room. And so that was kind of a neat way to do it, because it gave you a ton of range, but you would only have such a narrow window to see him. And I thought it was pretty fun.
Maybe we can test it out at some point to help get the numbers.
Yeah,
for sure. So pretty cool.
So I'd be down to try it again.
It's a cool concept.
Even though I hated it.
Yeah. You're just a generally agreeable fellow too, Gary. We can talk you into doing most things if your friends are going to be there. So
it's just true. Yeah. It's true.
So we'll revisit a little bit more and talk about this more down the road.
Cool. Well, yeah, that was actually more productive and informative than I thought. I thought we were just going to be like, yeah, there's a new hide and seek mode, and Anyway.
Lol.
No,
Yeah, but then I woke up and played. Then I woke up and played it for like 4 hours today. So. I got super into it and wanted to talk about it forever. My bad. Sorry.
Awesome.
Because it is definitely an asym horror game. Because Doug likes it.
It's funny because we actually, back when we were playing a lot of Among Us, Gary, this was before we knew Doug, I think.
It was, yeah. Dark days.
We were playing a lot of Among Us, and we actually forced a mode like that.
Yeah, we played it. Didn't we call it DBD mode?
We call it DBD
something.
mode, where the imposter, you basically just couldn't report bodies and you couldn't call emergencies.
Yeah.
So it was a race between the crewmates to see if they could get their tasks done first, or the imposter if they could kill everyone.
And we had the proximity chat on, so like you would. So when you died, you would just hear the screech. Everyone would kind of like do a death howl as they were taken down.
It was pretty
That's awesome.
It was pretty fun, but it's nice to have an officially supported mode that they.
But I can't believe they haven't put proximity chat into the game.
I know, because the one time that we did play Among Us without proximity chat, it like blew all the other sessions out of the water. We should do that next time.
We need to re-find that.
I'd be down.
I think it's called Crew Link is what we use. There might be a better one now though.
I think that there's a big reason they haven't invested in the proximity chat is I think that a large percentage of the player base is like mobile. I think a lot of people play on mobile, and implementing that with mobile might be difficult.
That's true.
But they could just not do it for mobile. They could just like
DBD
DBD hasn't bothered to
only.
put like text chat into console. Like
that's true.
Anyways,
well, there's mods that we can use anyway. So
yeah, that's true.
Among Us. So Gary, our field reporter, with some information on the two hyped up upcoming asym horror games.
Which would I talk about first? We've got Killer Clowns from Outer Space, the game, or we've got the Texas Chainsaw game.
Let's do Killer Clowns first.
Yeah, okay. we need to leave Texas Chainsaw for the main event. That's the game we're all really excited about. So.
Yeah. Well, that might change because I've been looking into the Killer Clowns game. They've been tweeting things out occasionally, and I've been trying to keep track of it. And I finally went through it all today, and honestly, I'm really excited for this game. So obviously, Killer Clowns from Outer Space, based on the 1980s film. It's from the 80s, right? Yeah.
I think it's like 89 or something.
Yeah. But it's going to be a 3v7 asymmetrical horror game. For anyone who doesn't know. And so this is what I've gathered about the game, because they haven't really released too much about what the game is, but looking through stuff, we can kind of piece it together. So the clowns are aiming to capture the most or all of the human citizens. So I don't know if that refers to the players themselves, the 7 that they're trying to defeat, or if there might be some AI elements like Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed has, where maybe there's just human citizens walking around. I don't know what that means just yet. But the humans aim to deactivate the clown spaceship, escape the map, or keep the majority of the townsfolk alive for the entire round. So I'm guessing there's AI, like just people that you're trying to defend as well.
Right.
We didn't talk about this when it was announced, but I think like a month or so ago, they spoke about the balloon bloodhound, which I thought was a really cool looking thing. It's like a little balloon dog that can sniff out humans. I think it looks amazing. But they have now discussed the 5 classes of clowns and the 5 classes of humans that you can play as, which the character models for the clowns look amazing. Like they're so impressive. But you can play as the scout, the fighter, the tank, the tracker, or the trapster for the clown side. So I won't go into the intricate details of each of those. I just thought I'd highlight the things that I thought were interesting from a mechanics perspective.
So sorry, that's 4 different classes for 3 different clowns?
Yes, 5 different classes for 3 clowns, yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
But I noticed the scout can lure humans in. I think it's called finger lure. I'm assuming it's like but it seems like it might be able to make humans come towards them, potentially, which I thought was... Because we used to play a game, was it Nosgoth? Is that what it was called?
Nosgoth? The vampire game?
Yeah, the vampire game, where there was like the weird character I used to play that could make people come towards them. I wonder if it's going to be similar to that. Then there's the tank, which can break through walls. So there's going to be some destructible environments in the game.
Dibs.
That'll be the one you'll like, I know.
Dibs.
And then the tracker, I just thought this was interesting. The tracker is quite a slow-moving character, but they have an invisible car they can drive around, which I'm very much looking forward to playing.
Invisible car?
They can get in an invisible car and drive around.
I mean, 3v7, right? So this is going to be a game that we're going to play, the 3 of us.
Yeah.
Right,
Oh, yeah. 100%. Yep.
But I really like, though, What I will say is the tracker, because it's going to have a car. There's another one of the characters. I think it's it might be the fighter that has a tricycle they can use as well. And they can apparently they can like appear out of pizza boxes. I don't know if that means it can teleport, but I wonder if that means the maps are going to be kind of big. Because like a car and like a tricycle means that it might imply there's like some movement around that you're going to have to rely on.
I mean, I would assume that in a 3v7, a map would have to be kind of big, right?
Yeah.
That's a lot of player control characters in one place.
I hope it's like Friday the 13th size and not like Evil Dead size.
I can agree.
Yeah.
Then there's the 5 classes for the humans, which is the biker, the cop, the punk, the redneck, and the teen. I don't know. They have intricate little things that break down, but basically, to summarize things that I thought were interesting is basically humans can fight back. They can use guns. Some can excel at running, others at hiding. So there's definitely going to be different play styles for different classes, which I think is quite an exciting idea as well. So it means that you can play in a style that's befitting of you. And then the thing they've most recently been talking about is these things called the lackeys, which are AI units which cannot be controlled by the clowns, but they patrol and walk around outside of the clown spaceship, move around across the map, and they are attracted by sound. So when survivors knock into stuff, which makes me think that there's going to be like objects with rigid bodies they can just knock over. If you slam doors or open windows, it's going to attract these things. And they can leap onto the player's back, similar to Victor in Dead by Daylight. And they can subdue the humans for the killer clowns to come collect them in their cotton candy cocoons, if you've seen the films. But it seems you can fight for your life at that point. So I'm guessing there's like once you've been grabbed by it, probably similar to Victor, you can chuck him on the ground or whatever. But when lackeys see you, they also release rainbow confetti to alert the clowns that they've seen you. This game sounds brilliant.
It sounds super fun, yeah.
And the more survivors who are captured by lackeys and the clowns it describes it as spawning opportunities for lackeys. It increases the spawning opportunities. So I'm guessing the more people that get captured, the more lackeys start to spawn around the map, making it more difficult. But that's all the information that I've kind of like pieced out of it so far, which I think it's all quite exciting, I think. What do you guys think?
Those lackeys, this sounds a lot like the Knight in DBD, right?
Maybe a little bit. Like it seems like there's going to be like a lot of AI elements in the map going on.
And that's okay, probably.
Yeah,
I love it.
That'll be interesting.
I mean, that's Evil Dead's thing, right? Evil Dead's like a you PvE, VP, pretty much. Like you're PvEing, but then the demon gets to kind of control the whole...
Because the idea of the survivors kind of playing like a single player game together to like avoid the lackeys, and then suddenly there's one of the killer clowns appears. I think that's going to be quite exhilarating.
Yeah.
Agreed. I'm excited about it. You've talked about their social media is super active, and they're always talking. And they've been out there talking about how they have the original rights holders on board, but like expanding on canon and like building up to possibly having long-term DLCs where you like go to the killer clown's home planet. Like they have all this stuff that like they're promising to deliver. Basically, they're looking at the game like a long-term project, which is huge coming out of the gate.
Yeah.
It is a beloved franchise. It's going to have crossplay out of the gate. Like I think they got a lot of checks in the boxes this thing could succeed. So we'll just have to wait and see, how the delivery is. But it sounds to me like it's going to be really fun, and I'm excited.
There's one other little exciting element to it as well. They have been interacting a lot with Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed on Twitter. Those two just keep tweeting at each other. I don't know what that means, but it could mean there's some crossover room in the future. That would be... I don't know what that could be, but I'm excited by the idea.
Frankly, it makes a lot of sense. They've got that kind of cheesy 80s campy horror vibe to them, so it would make sense for them to cross over. Yeah. Cool. Well, yeah, I'm really looking forward to stacking up with you guys for some 3v7 clown action. That's going to be so much fun. Just like in Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah, like these two games seem like they're designed for the Spine Chill podcast a bit, don't they? Like they're making room for us.
Well, it'd be great to play that with y'all for sure. And just like that, Texas Chainsaw. What we got for Texas Chainsaw?
I've got a lot of information about this as well.
All right.
mostly about the classes. Mostly about the
Please
classes again. By the way, Texas Chainsaw will have skill trees. That's been confirmed now.
Cool.
I don't know if we've discussed that in the past, but it's been confirmed.
I think we've speculated in the last time we talked about him, like 4 or 5 episodes ago, maybe.
Yeah. Okay, so the 5 killers, what they've been doing recently is they've released like these like online trading cards that break down what their abilities are. I kind of got fed up of waiting for a new one to come out, so I've waited. They're all out now, so I just read through them all today. So obviously there's 5 killers at the moment they've announced, 2 original new to the franchise, and then 3 of the originals. So I've got their abilities and what they can kind of do, which again will help us kind of be able to visualize how this game's going to play quite a lot, I think. So there's the cook, who has the ability to seek. They can listen carefully and detect strange sounds around the map. He can focus and reveal victims' locations, victims being the survivors in this game. He can also lock doors. He begins with 3 locks in his inventory. He can remove them and use those same locks elsewhere as well. And he can close crawl spaces, forcing victims to reopen them quietly. So crawl spaces are areas that the victims can hide, but they can be locked. So again, it's a very sound-driven character.
Yeah.
Then there's one of the original characters they've made called Sissy. She has a power. She seems quite interesting. So she's got an ability called Bane, where she can craft poisons from local plants and can blow the powder into victims' faces or contaminate objects around the map. So I think she might have a bit of a plague vibe to her. She can traverse through small gaps and crawl spaces, and she can also use hiding spaces, which means she could hide in a cupboard and wait for a victim to maybe try and hide in it and then be surprised.
It's like what some people have been pining for in DBD for forever. Like, there should be a killer that can hide in lockers. Not like the Dredge, but like...
Yeah. Like, actually hide where you don't know it's inside the locker. So the Sissy's probably the one I'm the most excited for now. I think she sounds like she'd be the most amusing. But then there's the Hitchhiker, who has Trap. He can put bear traps around. But he can also use gaps and crawl spaces as well. But he has high endurance, so he can swipe a lot whilst he chases victims down. So he can like do lots of little knife attacks, I guess. There's Johnny, who has the ability to hunt, where he can track victims' footprints around the map, which reminds me of one of the characters in Rainbow Six Siege. I forget their name. Do you remember it, John? There's one that has like the special glasses where they can track footsteps.
Oh, Jackal.
That's it, yeah. Yeah, a bit like that. He can also instantly barge through doors and close crawl spaces. And he's got something concussive hits, which disorientates victims he hits. So I don't know what that means specifically, but it could be like a clown's bottle, where you kind of, it blurs what you can see. And then there's Leatherface, Doug's main. And he has the ability where he can just instantly kill people if he bumps into them. He can destroy crawl spaces, barricades, doors. He's just blunt force.
That's my guy. I'm ready. Let's go.
So what do you guys think of those killer abilities, out of curiosity?
I mean, they all sound good. I mean, I'd be happy to play any of them. I do like the idea. I mean, you've already said that you plan on playing Sissy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure we'll switch off a lot.
But I also want to play all of them.
The idea of hiding in a cupboard or in a crawl space, right? That I like anything where the killer can scare the survivors, not necessarily damage them or kill them or whatever, but where you can do something unexpected like that. That's really fun.
Yeah, you can get a reaction out of someone.
Right.
And I quite like there's like elements like the Hitchhiker has some trapper elements to them. Sissy obviously has some plague elements potentially to her. So I think that's quite an interesting way about going with it as well. Bubba's just Bubba. he does the exact same kind of thing. So I think it's nice. It's going to be a nice way for DBD people to understand the game very quickly, I suspect, which will be good for the game as well.
Oh my God, it's Leatherface from Dead by Daylight. He's in the game.
I wonder how they got the rights to DBD's character.
How they got the rights to DBD's
Absolutely. All I have to say is that it's really hard to like hear you describe them without really knowing the entire gameplay loop and be like, oh, how would I like that? But it all sounds interesting, and it sounds like I expected out of Gun Media, is that they're putting a lot of like time and effort and care into creating a unique and diverse experience. So I'm excited to try it all out and see how it all works. But I think at the end of the day, I'll probably end up playing mostly Bubba, because that sounds pretty awesome.
That's fine, as long as me and John will be right behind you. Yes, master.
Please.
bring them to you. That's what we'll do.
Please
Okay,
and
let's
thank
do
you.
that. And then there's the victims as well. They've announced their powers. So there's Connie, who has focused ability, but they can pick locks faster at the cost of stamina. They have a family proximity warnings without consuming the unlock tool. So I think they can be alerted when the family are coming closer to them. Sunny has heightened sense. Situational awareness buff. They can detect noise made by anyone nearby. So they can track movements of people around them, which I think could be quite strong.
Yeah.
Julie, ultimate escape. When activated, cannot be tracked by the family. Significant reduction in stamina drain when sprinting for a short time.
That's like distortion.
Yeah, distortion meets kind of like a sprint burst kind of thing.
Yeah.
Then there's Leland, who has lifesaver, can bump charge a family member stunning them, which I think that will be... It's like dead hard at the killer, which I think is going to be quite fun. Because people have asked for that in DBD for a long time, like some way of like bumping into the killer, I guess.
Yeah.
And then there's Anna, pain is nothing, a significant reduction in damage received from attacks and falls, and then temporary immunity to poison, which I think is an interesting thing. I don't know how much poison's going to have a place in the game, so it's quite interesting to hear that word used so often between.
Yeah.
So yeah, it seems like every single character's got like their own strength. I'm assuming you can't play as the same survivor as someone else. So I think it's going to be like everyone brings something special and unique to the team.
Yeah.
Which is something that I've heard asked for a lot. People have always talked about that in DBD, like wanting each individual survivor to have their own power or their own special thing. Because I mean, at this point, survivors in DBD they're just...
There's a reason they share the same MMR.
Yeah, they're cosmetics and they're,
Yeah.
teachable perk carriers, and that's about it. So,
I mean, like when we did that stream where the Game Rant article where we took specific roles, that was a very fun way to play DBD.
Yeah, it actually was.
Despite how dumb the article is.
The article's trash, but we
died a lot.
We did, but we had a lot of fun with specific roles. I think part of the frustration with DBD is like you have to do everything all the time. You have to work on the gen. You have to, chase or get chased by the killer. You have to save. You have to do all that stuff, right? Wear a different hat. So that'd be cool that in this one we'll have more clearly defined roles. Maybe. We'll see.
I'm also intrigued to see how much the game, because I know that the end game, when you try and power one of the doors, someone has to be at the power point and other people have to be like at the escape point, essentially. So I think that's going to be... There's things in that... I suspect, like obviously we don't know for certain yet, but it seems like there's ways of splitting people up, which I think will add to the horror element, which I think could be... Especially if you've got like Sissy hiding in a cupboard, I think this game could be quite tense. I think it could be very good. I'm very excited for Texas Chainsaw. If it's terrible, I'm going to be so upset.
Yeah, I don't think that's possible.
No, it might be disappointing, but it's not going to be terrible.
No,
true.
Way. The fact they've got they recreated the chainsaw just to get the correct sound effects tells me this game's got so much passion going into it that I've got pretty high hopes.
Yeah. I think I would agree 100% with what you said, John. Like, there's no way it sucks. It may not be as good as we hope it is. It may not be as good as we expect it to be, but it won't be a bad game. Like, we're still playing Propnight and Evil Dead, this far into the evolutions of those games. And I can't imagine that TCM is going to come out of the gate behind where those guys are at now. You know what I mean?
No.
So.
Can't come soon enough.
True.
When's the release date for TCM?
Early next year.
Q1, I think.
So coming up.
I'm very excited.
Exciting.
That's going to be a big day. I could see all of us just like, we should just do a big long stream together.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, I hate streaming for a long time.
That's Doug's weakness.
The Spine Chill episode that week is going to be all TCM, too. What if we don't even talk about DVD?
DVD who?
Have to.
We'd be like, what? TCM is my new best friend now.
True.
It might be, though. Like with the DBD meta the way it is, I think I'm very excited for both the Killer Klowns game and Texas Chainsaw. I think
they could be
big.
Frankly, I think I might play some more Propnight coming up, because I think it might be a good time. because I played when I got a little burnt out on DBD a couple weeks ago. I played a lot of Fortnite, which was really fun. But I think maybe giving another ASIM horror game more time in the spotlight would be good too. We'll see.
Just in time for the ranks to get fixed so you can push Grandmaster. Let's go.
Let's go. Grandmaster Propnight player.
Grandmaster.
But
Alright,
that's
guys.
everything about those two games. So far,
Well-
I'll keep an eye on them because I like keeping an eye on them.
Well, that'll bring season 11 to a close. I
Almost.
believe.
There's one last thing.
Oh.
Doug, Evil Dead.
Oh yeah, there's not much. Evil Dead implemented it.
It's just
Evil
just
Dead,
for Tony. Just for Tony.
Yeah, Evil Dead implemented an MMR. I don't know the details yet. I was told by somebody who streams the game full time that they haven't exposed a lot of the details, but that they've confirmed that it's not based on your account level. It's based on in-game performance. So, but it's a secret hidden matchmaker rating that's going to hopefully keep people. Oh, I mean, again, if it's like the Propnight MMR, which is totally fine with me, basically it's just going to keep brand new players from getting in with people with like 500, 600 hours. And then, but if it's more specific and it really tries to make it into like
DBD.
balanced matches, yeah, it could be a problem. So we're going to test it out this week. We're going to play, I think we're going to play together, hopefully. And then if not, I'm going to play a lot individually and see what I see and what I experience. But it's really hard, you know? Like with an MMR system that's implemented without any sort of information, you don't really know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we won't know if it's working with an average as well. Like DBD does it with an average, right? So
Yeah.
someone who's really high MMR could be put with 3 bad survivors as their team because they're against an average killer.
Yeah. So I think what I'll really be interested to see is how it impacts queue times. Because to me, an MMR, the first thing I worry about is queue times. Because if it's not matchmaking as quickly as possible, it's trying to find a good balanced match. That's more time you're waiting in queue, and that's less time you're playing video games, man.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't know about all that. So that's it for Evil Dead, though. I don't really know anything else in terms of like when the next season pass is going to start and everything, but I'll hopefully have more information for you guys next week.
Nice.
And yeah.
Well, I think we've talked about every ASIM game that's out except Home Sweet Home
Home Sweet
Survive
Home.
and VHS.
Yeah.
And
And I kind of mentioned VHS as a way of shitting on it. And we just mentioned Home Sweet Home.
It was mentioned in passing. Yeah.
Didn't Secret Neighbor 2 come out?
Oh my God. No way. Really? Did it come out?
Oh, that was the
think
game you
so.
told me to
Well,
play.
Hello Neighbor. I know Hello Neighbor 2 came out.
Oh, is it Hello Neighbor? Oh, never mind.
Yeah. No, Hello Neighbor came out. 2 came out. Yeah, I've heard some horrible things. I'm actually looking forward to playing it because
I look
I've not
forward
heard
to
good
watching
things.
it. I will watch you play it because I'm not playing Hello Neighbor.
Yeah, I don't think I'll play it either.
I'm
Maybe
gonna play
I
that
will. We'll see.
game.
Hello Neighbor is such a sad story. It's such a sad.
It blows my mind
story.
every time I go to a convent. Like I didn't see it at TwitchCon or anything, but like conventions in the past when they had all this merch for it, I was like, I know this game doesn't work.
Yeah.
How are you
Right.
selling merch for it? And why has it got an entire
It's-
area dedicated to it?
It's
This
one of
unfinished
those-
project.
Yeah, it's one of those games where like kids play it, but like only children and YouTubers. Because like, you know, for as much as I don't like the Bendy series, like adults still play that game. And it's like a competently made video game, you know, with mechanics and things like that. Hello Neighbor is just literally a mess. So I'm excited to see how much of a mess the second one is. Anyway, that's not ASIM horror. What are you doing? Okay,
Because I got debated. I thought Secret Neighbor 2 was coming out, not Hello Neighbor.
No,
So
no,
now
no, no.
I got all
Yeah.
thrown for a loop. I apologize for planting that seed. And
well, it's
Reckon
fine.
the
Because
other
Apology
podcast,
noted.
now we've mentioned Secret Neighbor, and now the circle is complete. We've mentioned all of them today.
Rest in
Yeah.
peace, Resident Evil Resistance. There we go.
Okay. What about White Noise 2? What about
What's that other one? What's that Discord one?
But what of Identity V? Identity 5.
last year?
Last year, that's the one.
What about Hide or Die?
Oh, God, this is getting
gotta-
depressing.
We gotta stop sometime, yeah. All right, well, that will draw season
Monstrum
11
2!
to a close. We're not talking about Monstrum 2. Thank you all for coming by and listening to us rant and rave about DBD and ASIM horror games. We'll be back next week for season 12. Signing off, it's me, John, here with the Purple.
Gary. Bye. Bye.
And Hat Man, Doug.
Doug, Running Man, thank you. Hope to be invited back next week.
We'll see you guys next time.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.